Hi everybody, today we're going to cover Unit 1, Section 1, and it's really a review of some things that you learned last year in intermediate algebra. Today we're going to review the steps for solving linear equations, and there's 4 basic steps. The first thing you always want to do when you solve an equation for a variable or for a letter is you want to simplify each side of the equal sign. So I'm going to start by writing that. Simplify each side of the equal sign. Now, what that might mean is combine like terms or distribute, things like that. Second step. The second step that we want to take is we want to then get all the variables to one side. So you want to get all the letters on the same side of the equal sign. So put all variables or letters on the same side of the equal sign. All right, then your next step is going to be to add or subtract or cancel out the constant. So basically you want to add or subtract the constant or the number if there is one. It's a lone number basically. And then finally the fourth step is you're going to multiply or divide. And you're going to multiply or divide by the coefficient, which is the number in front of the variable. So you're going to multiply or divide to cancel the coefficient. Okay, so let's try one. I think you'll remember a lot of this. So we're going to start with a simple linear equation, and you can see it's x plus 8 equals 14. And let's go through the 4 steps. The first step is to simplify each side of the equation. Is there anything we can simplify here on the left side? I would say no, not really. Is there anything we can simplify on the right side? Again, I would say no, not really. You can't really do anything to a 14. So then we go to step 2, and we want to get all the variables to one side. Well, in this case, x is the variable, and there are no other x's, so they're already on one side. Step 3 is add or subtract to cancel the constant. We can do this. So the constant is the 8, and we want to get those to the other side by adding or subtracting. And so right now we have x plus 8, so we do the opposite. We're going to minus 8 or subtract 8 to get it over to the other side. You do the opposite of whatever you have. Positive 8 and negative 8 will cancel out. On the left side we'll be left with x. On the right side, we have to simplify 14, take away 8, which is 6. And the last step would be to multiply or divide by a coefficient. That would be a number in front of the x. Since there is no number in front of the x, we are done. X equals 6. All right, go ahead and pause the video and try number 2, and then when you're done, unpause the video to see if you got it right. Again, there's nothing to do for step 1. We don't have to simplify anything on either side. All the variables, step 2, are already on one side, so we can jump right to step 3. Since we have p minus 10, the opposite of minus 10 would be plus 10. We're going to add 10 to both sides, and we have the negative 10 and the positive 10 cancel, and we're left with p equals 12. And that's it. There is no step 4 for this one. So if you got p equals 12, awesome. All right, is there anything we can simplify on either side of the equal sign? I would say no. So we're going to jump to step 2, which says put all the variables on one side. Well, the variable is x, and it's already on one side of the equation. So again, we can jump to step 3, which is add or subtract the constant. So in this case, the constant nearest to the variable is the positive 10. To move it to the other side, we're going to do the opposite, which is subtract 10. The positive 10 and the negative 10 will cancel out. On the left, we're left with 2x. On the right, we have 50 minus 10, which is 40. Step 4 is to multiply or divide by the coefficient or the number in front of the variable. In this case, there is a 2 in front of the x. So to get rid of, right now it's 2 times x, the opposite would be to divide by 2. If we divide by 2, they will cancel out. We're going to be left with x. And on the other side, 40 divided by 2 is 20. X equals 20. All right, go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. And when you're done, unpause the video and check if you got it right. So in this case, the first step that we need to do is, I see the constant is 12, and I want to move that away from the a. It's a positive 12, so the opposite would be minus 12. The positive 12 and the negative 12 will cancel. We'll be left with 4a on the left. 20 minus 12 is 8. And now we have to divide by that number in front of the variable. We're going to divide by 4. These 4s will cancel. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. A equals 2. Let's try number 5. In step 1, is there anything we can do to simplify either side of the equal sign? I would say not really. But we can do step 2 this time. There are variables on both sides of the equal sign. So we need to move one of them, so that they're on the same side of the equal sign. I usually move the lower one. I mean, not always, but in this case, I have a positive x on the right. If I subtract that x, that's like subtracting 1x. I'm going to subtract it on both sides. The reason is whatever you do on one side of your equation, you have to do on the other side to keep it balanced. Now on the right, the positive x and the negative x will cancel out. On the left, we have to do 3x minus 1x. So that's going to leave us with 2x plus 7. And on the right side, we still have the 21. Next, step 3 is you're going to add or subtract the constant. So in this case, the constant is the 7. That's the number kind of closest to the x that we want to move away from the x. It's a positive 7, so the opposite would be a minus 7. Again, whatever you do to one side of your equation, do to the other side. The positive 7 and the negative 7 will cancel. You'll have 2x. On the other side, 21 minus 7, I believe, is 14. And finally, multiply or divide by whatever number's in front of your variable. So in this case, we're going to divide by 2. The 2's will cancel out. So we'll have x equals 14 divided by 2 is 7. Please pause the video and try number 6. When you're done, unpause and see if you got it right. The first step I would do is I would subtract the positive 2y from both sides of the equation. That way we can get the y's together, the variables on the same side of the equal sign. In this case, the 2y's will cancel out. We have 8y then, minus 20 equals 60. Next, we're going to move the constant that's closest to the y. So in this case, that's a minus 20. The opposite of minus 20 would be plus 20. Add that to both sides. Then minus 20 and the plus 20 will cancel out. We're going to have 8y, and then 60 plus 20 is 80. Then you have to multiply or divide by the coefficient. In this case, we have 8 times y. To undo a times, we have to divide. So we're going to divide both sides by 8. The 8's on the left side will cancel out, and we end up with y equals 10. So in number 7, we can skip all the way to step 4 because there's nothing to simplify on either side of the equal sign. The variables in step 2 are already on the same side. Step 3, there's nothing to add or subtract. There's not a constant on the left side. And so we're all the way to step 4, which is multiply or divide to cancel out the coefficient. So in this case, all I have to do is divide by negative 1. It will cancel out the negative 1. And then I'm going to have negative 10 over negative 1. 2 negatives make a positive. This ends up being 10 over 1, or just 10. Let's try number 8. So number 8, simplify each side of the equal sign. I think that's done. I don't think we have to do anything there. Step 2, put all the variables on one side. I think that's done. There's an x, it's on the left. Step 3, add or subtract the lone number or the constant. So in this case, it's the 2. We want to move the 2 away from the x. I notice it's a positive 2, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to minus 2. Now that's going to cancel out this. I still have x over 3 on the left, and on the right, 4 minus 2, which is 2. And now we're on step 4, which says multiply or divide to cancel out the coefficient. So in this case, I have x over 3. The 3 is on the bottom of the fraction. So what I want to do is I want to multiply by 3, or you can think of it as 3 over 1 if you want. But if I multiply by 3 on both sides, what's going to happen is the 3's will cancel. And I'm going to be left with the x on the left-hand side. And on the right, it's 2 times 3, which is 6. X equals 6. So again, multiplying by 3 is really the same as 3 over 1. And that way the numerator and the denominator, the 3's, will cancel out when I multiply. Kind of cool. So this one's interesting, number 9. I see a fraction in front of the x. 5/6x equals 10. And so, if we kind of go through the 4 steps, there's nothing to simplify. There's nothing to do for step 1, like the left side is simplified, the right side is simplified. Step 2, get all the variables on one side. Well, that's already done. Step 3 is you would add or subtract a constant, and I don't see like a number on the left side that's by itself, so I don't think there's really a constant. But to step 4, we have to multiply or divide by the coefficient, or the number in front of the x. In this case, we have a fraction. So there's a couple of different ways we can do this. Probably it's easiest, or you might have learned it in 2 steps. And so maybe let's try to get rid of the 6 first. So the 6 is on the bottom of the fraction. So what if I take the 5/6 and I multiply by 6, or think of it as times 6 over 1. If I do that on both sides of the equation, on the left side, the 6's will cancel out, which is kind of cool because then we just have 5x left. On the right side, we have 10 times 6, which is 60. So now I can do that step number 4 one more time. It says multiply or divide by the coefficient. Well, now the coefficient is just 5, and it's 5 times x. So to undo the times, we're going to divide by 5. On the left side, the 5's will now cancel out. And then on the right side, you might need your calculator for this, and that's fine. But if not, think about what is 60 divided by 5. It's fine to use your calculator. You should get 12. So tonight you are going to try the Unit 1, Lesson 1 homework. However, I do feel like it might be written differently. It might be called Unit 1, Practice 1. So look for that in Schoology. I'm guessing it's called Unit 1, Practice 1. So check it out. Good luck. If you have questions, just let me know and give me a message. Okay, bye-bye.